And we are, excuse me, and we are back. AK, Ala, we're back for another Seahawks recap. Little dog, big dog, and it's a little more depressing today, don't you think, Ala?
Yeah, I think I've already reached that next stage. I think it's anger for me now. Yesterday I told you the story about how I walked out crying around the campus, but I think now it's all about anger, frustration.
Yeah, and I just want to say one thing, Seahawks fans. It's hard, it hurts, it sucks, but I think Jamal Adams says it best. He says, "We okay, man. This ain't the end of the world. It's one game." If this were to happen in any game, you know, we should be happy it's early, right? Clearly, the Seahawks, they have a lot of issues on offense. They have a lot of issues on defense. But that's okay. We knew that. They knew that. It wasn't going to be perfect. We're not the Bucks. We're not the Chiefs. Everyone's got their flaws. But the goal, it's always been and always will be to win that championship. And we don't win championships in the first quarter. And we know we don't win championships in the second quarter. And definitely not the third quarter. But the fourth quarter, that's where everything needs to come together. You feel me? So we just got to take a deep breath. We got to take a deep breath, relax, and hopefully pray the Seahawks take this as a great opportunity to get better. That is all. That's all we need to start with. Everything else will just be us basically destroying the Seahawks because they were bad.
Yeah, I agree.
All right. I mean, where do we even start, right? Like in this game, Seahawks. For those who didn't pay super close attention, we were up 24-9 at half. We were doing some good things on offense. It was Tyler Lockett bomb. We got a forced fumble. Alden Robinson came in at the end of the half, gave us a possession back. We had another touchdown with Chris Carson, and it felt like every time the Titans, they were driving the whole game. But in the first half, we were stopping them where it counted in the red zone. But obviously, things changed in the second half. In the second half, I mean, we had basically one good drive, right? We had one good drive. That was a bomb to Freddie Swain on a blown coverage, 68-yard touchdown. Besides that, it was three and out, punt. It was just a mess. Like, we couldn't get anything going. Derrick Henry ran all over us. But even then, even though we were struggling, it was 30-16 with about 10 minutes left. Maybe it was 11 minutes left, and we still found a way to lose.
Yeah, pretty frustrating, to say the least. Just pretty embarrassing performance. Maybe the most embarrassing Seahawks performance of the last 10 years. Just awful. I don't know how it happens. I'll take you through the general game script. I think you get it well here, but I'll go into a little bit more detail.
Let me drop it real quick too. You said the most disappointing loss in years. That's a complete fact. The Seahawks, I'm sure a lot of fans out there have heard this, but the Seahawks were 52-0 when leading by at least 15 points at home. They're now 52-1 after that rally. But go ahead.
Yeah. So, let's look at the play-by-play here. Basically, what you're gonna see is that, like I pointed out, bomb after bomb, more than half of the yardage of Russell Wilson came off of three plays. Miscommunication on the Titans, which led to a 68-yard touchdown for Freddie Swain. A 51-yard bomb to Tyler Lockett and a 60-yard touchdown to Tyler Lockett. So there's clearly some issues on offense, which was apparent in the first half. Chris Carson, I think he had all first 11 carries in the first half, totaling for about 20 yards.
Yeah, I think he ended up with like 29 or 30 yards.
Yeah, so his final stats were 13 for 31, which is 2.4 yards per carry. So that's the biggest concern on offense. after the week one. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's generally what happened. The offense struggled because you can attribute to many things. Cal Fuller probably just isn't good enough. Just sucks. He just sucks. It's not probably. He just sucks.
I mean,
I mean, he
like I
lost
feel
his
like there
job.
was a lot of false hope. Like even in the offseason, people were saying, Kyle Fuller, he's been fighting for the job. He played okay when he came in last year. And that's just not true. Like he did not play good. He had one okay game against the Rams, but overall he's not been good. He's never proven himself. And week one, I mean, he didn't really play that much. And look, we saw the real Kyle Fuller. He's not a good player. And I hate to say this to you, Kyle Fuller, but you're not a good player, brother.
You're not good, man. You're not good. He lost his job to injured and trash Ethan Postage in the first game of the season. What does that tell you about how the coaching staff believes in him? They just don't. They don't. And I don't know if I've ever been wanting Ethan Postage back ever. Just this bad.
I don't even think, dude, I can't see Ethan Postage there. It just will trigger me even harder. But, yeah, Kyle Fuller was a big problem. I believe Kyle Fuller and Gabe Jackson gave up over 10 pressures between the two of them. I don't think Gabe Jackson played bad. I think he's been a bit below expectations, but also my expectations weren't all pro guard, just maybe above average, and he's been about average. But yeah, I think let's talk about the overall struggles on offense. So
yeah, just going back to your point, Gabe Jackson, while he is the worst pass graded player last week, and was pretty bad again this week, he's dominant in the run game.
He's been pretty good. I wouldn't say dominant, but pretty good. I will say if he was dominant, then we wouldn't have got our butts whooped up front this past week.
Well,
Can't put it all on one guy.
Lewis couldn't. You pointed it out at the beginning of the game. Damian Lewis had no push on offense.
I did. I mean,
it attributed to his groin injury.
Yeah, it was clear because Jamarco Jones was in on the second series, so I'm not sure if other people were following this, but Damian Lewis started the game and he was on injury report questionable, and then by the second series he was already out. So it's clear he wasn't healthy.
No, I agree, fully agree. So, and that's only about a run game, and that's basically where our problem lied on offense. We couldn't hold the ball. Looking at our drives, our length of drives here, you're gonna see that our first drive was 1 minute and 20 seconds. Our second drive that ended in a field goal was 1 minute 50 seconds. Our longest drive of the game was a 4 minute 58-second punt, which only was extended because of a penalty. And then after that, even the game, even the ones we scored, touchdown after 3 plays, that was a Lockett touchdown, 1 minute 44 seconds. Then there was the fumble, which was ended up a touchdown after 2 plays. That was 28 seconds. And then another quick touchdown at the end of the half after the Alex Collins run. That was about 25 yards. And that was 48 seconds. Our entire game was just awful. It was just awful. We couldn't hold the ball. The time of possession at the end of the game. Remember, this is a 33-30 game. The Titans had the ball for 42 minutes and 33 seconds to our 22 minutes and 42 seconds. They almost doubled our time of possession.
I mean, that's so bad. Like that's why people want to blame the defense. I get it. The defense didn't play good. But listen to this. Just to reiterate your point, the Seahawks defense played 88 snaps compared to the Seahawks offense. They played only 54 snaps. Imagine like having to play 88 snaps. I mean, that's a lot. Like you're gonna get tired. That's why we saw Derrick Henry run out all of our defense. You can see in the film, the guys are tired. Dude, did you see that one play where Al Woods came in and he was like he barely even got on sides and he was huffing, and you watch him and he literally just stood there because the big guy, he played 60 snaps. D tackles aren't supposed to play the whole game. That 60 snaps is a whole regular game.
Yeah, it's outrageous. It actually is outrageous. We're not a team. We're also just not a team built for longevity. We have big dudes on defense. Bobby Wagner is a big guy.
At least some balance. That's what we need.
It's bad. It's bad. And really, I think our struggles. We put up 30 points. You don't look at it, and I think that the offense might get away with saying that they played well this week. Luckily, I trust in Russ to believe that he didn't play well and the offense didn't play well and they have to be held accountable. But it was so bad.
I mean, absolutely not. Like, the offense was not good. They literally, besides, okay, so there's those 2 bombs. Tyler Lockett, the guy missed a tackle. I mean, it was a great play, but still. Freddie Swain was just a busted coverage. Besides that, like, we got another drive that was given to us on, like, our 5-yard line. It was barren. It's right now. This is what I was saying in my introduction, is that it's boom or bust, and that's how it was previous. So what happens when we can't boom? Like, we just in the second half we couldn't do anything. Titans defense is not good.
They
not. Are not good.
And people are gonna want to also blame Russ because he wasn't great in the second half. But it's so difficult to work drop back offense with an already suspect pass blocking offensive line with 0 run game and receivers that are making mistakes. Because we'll talk about it. DK Metcalf had what, 3 penalties in that game.
Yeah, he had 3, 2 of them on the same play.
And Freddie Swain's, as much as I love Freddie Swain, not a good third wide receiver. He really isn't.
Yeah, I think this past game, I thought Russ, even though his stats didn't show it, I thought he missed some throws. Like,
there was one in the first half. That was a touchdown he missed.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some throws over the intermediate side of the field, which everyone's been talking about, but it's so true. Like, we're running these play action plays. He's got options. They're not wide open, but he's got to hit them, right? Like, it looks like no one's open. It looks like we don't got anything there, but there's someone there. And Russ, he doesn't throw the pick, but he's also not winning us the game in certain situations.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of plays, too, that might have gone underrated. Like, every time DK got the ball across the middle, I feel like that was a lot of the time was the third read, That was Russ going through his progressions. He made plays. It's just it really does lie with the offensive line on this game and the play call. I think Waldron could have done better to adjust because he didn't. It seemed like after
well, to be fair, only had 13
didn't know what they were doing. It looked like he was so reliant on his run game that after, like, when we're forced to pass, it wasn't ideal. Which is concerning.
I guess so. I have a hard time. I feel like Shane was in a tough position because our O-line was getting dominated up front, but they were also playing, like, too deep a good amount of the time. So we can easily abuse, like, single high with our 2 deep threats, but they were just playing a shell, and their D-line was dominating our O-line, so we can't run on a light box, and then we can't pass because Russell Wilson is not good at taking advantage of cover 2 with intermediate routes. So it's kind of a perfect storm, but I think this is what we saw, like, this offensive production, even though we scored 30, I think it's a little fluky. It's kind of what we saw at the end of the year last year against, like, teams like the Giants. We really struggled, couldn't run the ball, couldn't pass the ball. Against even teams like the Redskins, that was kind of ugly. We had that one big run, or the football team, excuse me. But besides that, it's just like if we can get those games out of the way now and figure out how to combat that when a defense is playing well up front and also dropping too deep, then I think it's good for us in the long run. Obviously, it sucks to choke that. I wish we didn't, but
yeah, I think I agree with you. Another notable point was only 2 tight end targets the entire game.
True.
Which is interesting because last week the tight ends combined for at least 10. So it's a dramatic shift from last week. But that also could be resolved with the lack of run game because a lot of those were on play action or misdirections.
Yeah, I feel like there wasn't – I feel like we gave the fly sweep 1 carry to Freddie Swain, and it got like 6 yards or 7 yards. I'm like, I mean, why not try that again, right? Like, just give it to him. Like, get a little more creative with our runs.
It would also be a loss of D. Eskridge. I think D. Eskridge was probably running those plays before.
Yeah, but I agree with you. The tight end was weird, man. They didn't. I don't know if it was Russ not hitting him or they're just not dialing up the plays. Like, we had a few tight end screens this week that looked good. I mean, I haven't looked deeply at it, but I
I
was
thought
surprised.
from the Alex Collins run, which is one of the bright spots in that run game, though probably the only one on the draw play in the second half.
That was nice.
Dude, Gerald Everett was faster than Alex Collins. I just question how we can't get him the ball sometimes.
Yeah, I don't even. I mean, I like Alex Collins, but I don't think really he did anything special. There's just a wide
No,
open
it
hole
was
up
it
the
was
middle.
just,
Yeah,
yeah, it was a lineup hole. It was a situational run that also helped.
I think. Yeah, I think it caught them off guard for sure. For sure.
And that's pretty much all I gotta say about the offense. DK obviously something to talk about. Pretty high
Yeah, let's
expectations
talk
this
about him.
year. Third lowest graded player on our offense, 52.5 grade. 3 penalties. Pretty much looked like he was complaining the whole game.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I mean, I think PFF really uh, puts a lot of these grades are from PFF. I think they put a lot of emphasis on penalties, and I think that's why his grade is so low. But I think it's deserved, right? Like those penalties are. I mean, the holdings
The
are
holdings were unnecessary.
like unnecessary. Just like move your feet. Don't just hold on to him. Like you don't need to just. I mean, we know you're stronger. We know you can hold it. Like I feel like he's just trying to flex on him, right?
It was.
Yeah.
Christian Fulton was in his head the whole game.
Like he could 100% block Christian Fulton, take him at least drive him out. But instead he literally just wants to hold him because
And
he wants to show he's stronger.
I forgot who was on commentary, but he pointed out something great. It was a running back screen to his side, the strong side, and DK Metcalf, instead of running his man downfield, which I agree. I think why not run your man downfield, block him downfield? He has to run with you. It's a pass play, you know.
Yeah.
So he has to run with you. Instead, what DK does is he attacks him on the line of scrimmage and holds him immediately. And I just question why. Like, is that a wide receiver coach issue? What is he doing there?
I mean, there's no
Man
way
downfield.
the receivers coach is telling them to block like that. I think
Engage,
I
yeah.
think he's just being undisciplined.
So I'm really confused on what DK.
And I hate yeah,
his
I mean,
expectations are in his head for sure.
yeah, I hate to give DK an excuse here, but he did show up on the injury report before both games with a calf injury, and I saw him limping after like the first catch he had, and I saw him limping at the end of the game. Like, I don't think he's healthy. I think Pete Carroll said he just banged knees, but I think there's a lingering injury for sure bothering him a little bit.
Yeah, I another thing is that I also just don't think he's getting as much separation as he did last year. Christian
I
Fulton.
think it's because of the injury though, no?
Oh, okay. I can see that argument, but if it continues to be like this, it's a little concerning because I would hope that he would beat up on a pretty terrible secondary.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
He looks
I agree.
dominant with the ball in his hands still. I think it showed on a couple of those plays across the middle where he just ran over guys. But he's not the deep threat that he was last year that I want him to be. I want him to showcase.
I think it's too early to say. I will say I feel like in the Colts game, the safeties were always shading to his side.
For
So
sure.
in the Tyler Lockett touchdown, you saw the safety shade over. He was playing that coverage, and then I mean we haven't watched the film, so we don't know, but it's easily possible they just shaded a safety on top. But yeah, you're right. Well, I think we gotta wait a few weeks to at least see if this trend will hold. Because overall, yesterday was a bad day for the offense. I felt like.
Yeah, I think I'm ready to move on to the defense. I'm tired of talking about a trash unit. Let's move on to another trash unit.
All right, let's talk about the defense. I thought. Here's what I'll say. Brian Monet was a big loss, especially against the Titans. I think against a team like the Cardinals, Brian Monet is not as important. Or a team that loves to just put the ball in the hands of the quarterback, it's not as important. But I mean, just for the fact that Al Woods and Puda Ford couldn't rotate, and Brian Monet is so dominant in there, it's just like a run stuffing nose. It just kills everything.
Yeah, I also think like how long you pointed out 88 snaps. Like Brian Monet is huge in that rotation.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, okay, so against the Titans, it was obvious. Pete mentioned this in his press conference that we wanted to cut down. We wanted to reduce the opportunities for Henry by putting more people in the box, basically playing our base defense. So as I was watching the game, I noticed we had Hyder in, Rasheem Green in at our edges, and we were starting both Woods and Ford. So we had this very heavy lineup that obviously wasn't great at pass rushing, but that was the plan. And then as that game went on, those guys got tired and they were able to run, and it kind of went in a circle, right? We need to put these guys in because they help us stop the run the best, but they're getting tired, so they're running on us more. And then that's also why I think the pass rush wasn't as good, because we had these guys in to stop the run, and they're not Daryl Taylor, they're not Carlos Dunlap barely played, because his expertise is not like run stopping 60 snaps a game.
Yeah. Daryl Taylor definitely struggled.
I think he played, not great, but
43.2 PFF grade. I think he just really couldn't get pressure on a pretty terrible old line. But that's also because it's a bad matchup.
Like we couldn't stop the run, and they kept running. And so Daryl Taylor, I guarantee he's in there. He's like, okay, Derrick Henry, they're giving him the ball, and he's not trying to beat him off the snap. And then when he does, it's just too late.
He's too small. Yeah, he's too small.
I think it's the same thing with Alden Robinson, who actually got that strip sack, and he had another great game. He was like one of our highest rated pass rushers, and he only played 18 snaps because we were in that heavy set trying to stop the run, and it ended up not mattering. But what mattered is Brian Monet.
Yeah, I think Puna Ford and Elwoods both played pretty good games, and it shows in the PFF grades. So you got to think if the third guy comes in, like all three of those guys probably improve.
Yeah, and I think our run defense is more consistent. We're able to get off the field a little bit more in the second half, which we really couldn't do.
Yeah.
You know who I wasn't impressed with yesterday? It was Jordan Brooks, man. He just looked rattled. Like, I haven't seen him act frustrated, and you could tell when he shoved Michael Pruitt, who was being such a twat the entire game. But when he shoved Michael Pruitt, like way after the play, you could just tell he was frustrated. And after that, he got subbed out. Did you see that? He got subbed out for like a drive and a half.
Yeah, and
they put in Barton.
Barton is probably the worst. He's just as bad as California.
And Barton was bad. Although I will say that holding they called on him was a bad call. But Barton was ugly. Brooks was getting caught up in all the, I can't remember what they call it, but like the mesh, when they have like all the O-line and D-line, and the linebacker has to scrape outside and get outside, fill the gaps, but he was just getting caught up in that mesh. And that's when the run started breaking off. I thought he struggled big time.
Yeah, you also saw his confidence kind of drop from the Julio play.
100%. I thought it was dropped. Yeah, I thought it dropped the whole game.
Questionable call. I think a lot of.
What are your thoughts on that call?
A lot of angle. As a Seahawks fan, it's hard to stay non-biased, but I thought it was a good call. But I wouldn't, if I was a Seahawks fan watching that play, I would have been angry. So
a Titans fan, you mean?
Well, yeah, I guess a Titans fan. I was thinking about the Seahawks fan if that happened once. But yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to my boys, and they're like, with the way the rule is, the toe heel, that they both thought it was his heel was out of bounds. I thought his heel was out of bounds too, but I mean, I'm a Seahawks fan.
It's so tight. It's so hard to tell. It's really so hard to tell.
Did you see that picture the Titans Instagram posted and stuff? Even then, you can kind of see like the heel is on it a little bit, and I was like,
super small.
It looks like it's on, and I think that one angle with Jordan Brooks down the line, like he just blocks it right when the foot's gonna come down. I think that would have been obvious to see.
It's so disappointing or it's so weird because I'm surprised they changed the call. Because usually they wouldn't change the call or something like that.
But I think it was the right call. Honestly, I think changing the call was the right call.
This whole toe to heel rule in general is pretty stupid in my opinion. Like in general.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. How do you train receivers? What Julio is supposed to do in that situation? Like he did the best he could to get both heels in, and it's frustrating because I think Julio played a really good game, and that's could have been looked better on a stat line. But then again, I'm a Seahawks fan, so it's like what? Frick Julio. God.
I mean, Julio was cooking. He was cooking up Trey Flowers.
Yeah, that guy has what, like he's got 500-yard games against us in six total games, and it's like 700 yards. It's gross. Yeah,
the toe heel thing. I feel like there's a scenario where people could abuse it. Like, what if your toe barely lands and your rest of your foot is out? Then is that in or out? I don't know. Just feels like
I
you
think
can
it only
really play on
applies
the
when you
edge.
get. It only applies when you have the first heel in, right?
No, it only
Yeah,
applies if
like-
like the rest of the foot comes down at some point. So when you toe tap, you can toe tap, and then if
Oh,
your
and then
feet come
fall.
up, yeah, if your feet like the next step, if your heel comes down after that,
See, that's just a weird rule. I don't understand.
because I guess it's like that saying, because then you could like stand on the edge and then basically be standing out of bounds
Oh
because your
yeah.
heels will come
But then
down,
you could still be standing on a bounce because you just fall down and not let your heels touch. It's
but
it's
your feet will come up, or you'll land out of bounds after. I don't know.
nice
Yeah,
to,
it's a little
nice to
touchy.
a
It's a little touchy.
physical demonstration. But
Yeah.
moving on to the defense, 88 snaps. I think if there was positives, it was the first half when we had energy. It was clear that we could contain the Derrick Henry run. I mean, he had like 15, 16 carries in the first half for
No, he
like
had.
30 yards.
I think he had 20 carries, 20 maybe 22 for like 60 yards.
Yeah.
And it was bad. Like we were playing really well. I thought Ryan
context-
Tannehill was actually making some good passes.
Yeah. I think so too.
I thought he played well. But we were shutting down Henry.
Yeah, for context, Derrick Henry finished with 35 carries, 182 yards, and 3 touchdowns. 2 of those coming on pretty long touchdowns. Well, one was not long distance-wise, but it was long run in the sense that
Yeah.
he pulled it back and wrapped around. And that just looked like that second touchdown looked like a sign of a tired defense.
You know what it
Or-
reminded me of? Yeah, it did. Like that whole game,
Or the first touchdown, I think.
they were moving the ball pretty well. Even in the first half, remember we said they were scoring. I think they got like 3 red zone touches,
No,
and they
they were
had
2 for
field
6
goals.
in the day in red zone. Even
Yeah.
with how successful.
So they were moving the ball. It kind of just felt like the 2019 defense again. You know how like every single
bend don't
team
break.
could move the ball, and we would stop them, but they would still move the ball the whole time, and then they would score touchdowns at the end of the game.
Which is like we got them into long third down scenarios, and it just felt like Trey Flowers just got bullied. And
Yeah, even our linebackers, like I thought Jordan Brooks, Bobby Wagner wasn't great in coverage.
yeah, I don't think he was
thought
great coverage either.
Bobby and Jordan Brooks, they were hitting like some nice. I'll give credit to Ryan Tannehill, but they're hitting some nice balls over the middle. Just some
No,
some
he was-
simple
he
play
looked really
actions
good.
right over our
I think
linebackers'
he
heads.
was
So
the 4th highest rated quarterback in the weekend for the PFF.
yeah,
And I'm a guy that loves Tannehill. I think he's top 10, and I think he played well. I think our defense as a whole, if it wasn't given such a horrible scenario, would have played pretty well. It's hard to imagine holding a team that's so explosive as the Titans. You know, in 43 minutes of time, not allowing 33 points. Like it's so.
I agree, and I think
I think we need to be better on third down. It's just getting people off the field.
the easy answer to improving our defense, because I don't think it was like as bad as people think, is being able to sustain a drive, eating up some
offense.
clock. Like even on some of those drives where we scored, I love the big plays, but the other drives where we didn't score, it was quick, man. It was quick. The longest drives we had were like 4 minutes. So it just put so much pressure on the D, so much
Yeah.
pressure.
I completely agree, and we had some extending plays too. Like penalties is something we haven't really mentioned that much, but it's a
We
huge,
should.
huge
That
issue.
was actually one of the biggest reasons we lost too.
The
10
Jamal Adams
for
play,
100 or something.
Yeah, 10 for 100 on the day. I think 2 of those were offensive, or 2 of those were 50, the holdings from Metcalf. You had a couple false starts, I think.
Maybe one false start. I actually don't think there was any
had
false starts.
the Cody Barton hold, which I agree wasn't a great call. I can see why.
I think it's a bad call.
Um,
But the two killers were.
the DJ Reed
daunting.
taunt was a super frustrating one.
It was frustrating because I believe that was third down, right? Or was it second down?
No, it was second down. It was second down.
it was like
would've
second and
been-
10 though. It was second
It
and
was
10.
second and 10. It would have been third down.
Third and 10. And I thought it was a pretty good play by DJ Reed. He got
It was
slightly
pretty
beat,
good play.
but he
I think AJ Brown should catch
he
that.
hit him at the perfect time. Yeah, it was a tough catch, but he was on him right when the ball hit his hands.
How can you not be excited about that play? If I'm in the NFL, I'm frick, bro.
Yeah,
That's-
I mean,
it's
I
frustrating.
think
I don't
the
even blame
rule.
DJ Reed for that play. I think maybe the fact that he knows the rule, he shouldn't have done it.
Yeah, that's
But
where I'm at.
it's
Like,
it's so difficult in the moment to be like so emotionally invested in the game because you need that. You need to be emotionally invested and
Yeah.
make great plays. So how do you just turn that switch off? It's so difficult.
I mean, it's impossible. It's impossible.
It's
Like
impossible.
in the mind of a player, I know I wouldn't be able to do that. But me as a spectator, being pragmatic, I'm like, dude, just face the crowd. Like you know the rule.
Yeah.
It's been the whole talk of the show. So that's why it's frustrating. But yeah, totally understandable though.
I think they should get the rule away. And the good thing about it was because people around the league looked at the DJ Reed penalty this week and they were talking about it in a positive way that they're looking to get the rule changed. And I told you about the JC Treader thing last night.
Yeah.
He came out and said that it was an important thing they want to talk about and mentioned that the NFLPA was not behind the taunting rule.
Yeah.
So hopefully that's changed. And it sucks that we had to be punished for it last game.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's going to change this year, to be honest.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll do like a mid-season change.
You're right on the
If
fact
anything.
that Goodell likes he doesn't like changing things mid-season.
Yep. Yeah, so the penalties is where we started. I agree. That was a total mess. There's too many opportunities. Like the we got off the field third down. I think they ended up scoring a touchdown, and then it was like a Jamal Adams late hit.
No,
I mean, even
it
that
the
was like
overtime game.
Oh, is that the one?
It was the overtime play. It was
Their first
Jamal
drive,
Adams.
their first like
and
third
that
down.
put us in bad field position. We still ended up getting them off the field, but they're punting from like the 17 if they don't get that play.
God, and we played so good those 3 plays too. Like right when we had to turn it up, we turned it up, and then I didn't even think it was that bad. Like it didn't even feel like Jamal Adams hit him that bad.
It's an obvious penalty.
High because it was high.
No, he made helmet to helmet contact. So,
yeah, it just feels like he hit him with his face
in,
mask though. You know,
came
like,
on with his arms.
He didn't dip down.
But why take the extra step? It doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah,
you know he's going to release the ball. Why take the extra step? I
thought it wasn't super egregious, but it is a little frustrating.
I think it's a call that has to be made because they're consistent with that kind of call.
Yeah, like I said, I don't think it's a bad call, but I understand as a player. Like, dude, he was running full speed, and he definitely held back. Like a couple years ago, he's knocking Ryan Tannehill to the ground, 100%.
Oh yeah, it's just I think he was afraid of pushing him.
Yeah.
So he kind of put his body on him, and Tannehill.
We got another roughing the passer, didn't we, early on or no?
We did. I think it was.
I think we did. Yeah, that was another one.
I think it was low on Taylor, maybe.
Yeah. No, it was. It might have been Adams too.
Could have been.
Oh no, it might have been. It might have been Taylor. Yeah, he came in around, and he hit him. I think he was just late.
Oh, wait.
Pretty sure it's just like a late.
No, it might have been. Incomdice or Robert.
Oh, it was Incomdice. Yeah. Oh
yeah.
My God, that guy.
It was so
off the practice
necessary.
He was so late too. The late ones are the most frustrating because like
I thought
you can't hit him late.
My original thought was like, wow, that's super like. I mean, it was a really like if it wasn't timed bad, it would have been a clean hit.
Yeah.
But I see what you're saying. Like Tannehill released the ball and was staring down the throw for like a second and a half. He made the conscious decision to hit him, which is just why he got penalized. And it's frustrating because you're right.
Super frustrating.
He was the Monet replacement. He played barely any snaps after that, pretty much, because he was rotating in the first half. And
he got a decent amount, I think, just because we needed him. Yeah.
And he wasn't that good.
No.
And that play I can see why he's.
I think that might have been a third down too.
It was a red zone play.
Yeah, it was a red zone play. Extended their drive. They scored.
I think it was a field goal though. Still, but it was frustrating.
Yeah.
I think we talked a lot about the destroyers on defense. We didn't really mention Trey Flowers. I think we mentioned it last night. Trey Flowers is probably the worst starting quarterback in the league. There's not much to say about it. Played a 41.2 grade, I think, this last week. Yeah, 43.3, 43.
I think what it is. So I don't know. I feel like the cornerback is pretty weak across the league. We talked about that. He's obviously bad. I'm kind of coming down from the steam that I felt on Sunday. He just gets abused by elite receivers just too much. I think he's okay. I think he's actually like starter level against like not elite receivers.
And unfortunately, we don't have a number one guy that
Can
They
really
go
even
to the receiver,
can
so-
really even take any like he does nothing to elite receivers. Like we need some guy who can at least affect those guys because obviously they're gonna get open, but he doesn't. He like it's like amplified. His abilities
think-
is made worse.
Yeah, it's because he doesn't do anything well.
But
He
against like average receivers, he's actually like solid. I'll say.
okay. I think I totally forgot the point that was. Oh, I think it could have been a lot worse if AJ Brown could catch the ball. That they could have
He
been.
only
a
had that
lot
one on Trey Flowers though. That double move
Yeah.
he had on Trey.
There
I'm
was
saying
one-
on Trey. He only had that
Yeah.
one.
There was the one over the top ball on DJ Reed. Obviously, that was taunting, and then there was the other one in overtime.
He had another like
That
a
was
slant. He
A
had
lot
a
of slants.
slant.
He got hit across the middle a couple times by Jamal too.
But that wasn't on Trey.
Yeah, I just think AJ Brown kind of saved us a little bit in our pass coverage.
Yeah, I agree. He catches a few more balls, it's over there. But if things
Yeah.
drop,
I agree.
other ways, things
So I
change.
think let's move on to positives of the defense. Not many. I think even
Yeah.
with like how bad we were in the running defense in the second half, Puna Ford and Al Woods were two of our top 3 players.
I thought Al Woods' sack was awesome. He literally just
Oh, yeah.
bulldozed a guy, hand up, just took Tannehill down. It was sick.
And there was the Alden Robinson sack,
Strip sack, yeah.
the strip sack. Puna Ford got interior pressure that play. I think he'd be
Yeah.
able to report it with the pressure, and they definitely made a difference. Tannehill could not step up in the pocket because of that.
Totally agree.
So I think both those guys are just good. Like if we get Monet back, it's going to be a
I
positive.
mean, I think Monet's a
Tackle
stud too,
situations.
low key. He's a stud.
yeah, for a UDFA for sure. Two of those guys UDFA's is just impressive.
Oh, Monet's a stud. Like I think he's above average for sure. Maybe even like fringing on like really good D tackle. We'll wait and see. Wait and see.
Wasn't-
But
He
here's
wasn't
what I'll
super
say:
good
if we
against
don't
Quinn
re-sign
Nelson,
him,
though. It's
if we
Quinn
don't
Nelson.
re-sign him, I'll be disappointed because I think we can get him cheap, and he's young.
Yeah, Monet kind of feels like Puna Ford 2 years ago. A little bit. Maybe
I
not
think
as
last
bad.
year was Puna Ford 2 years ago. I think last year he really came
Well,
on
you
at the
think
end of the year.
He's Puna Ford this year. Oh,
I think he's more
No,
like Al
maybe.
Woods. I think he's more like Al Woods. He's more like
That's
an Al
fair.
Woods type player. And Al Woods is a good player. He's a good player. He's just
and
34.
then yeah, and then of course Bobby Wagner.
I mean, he made a bunch of stops. He was just putting a lot of pressure.
He's
it felt like.
Bobby Wagner's so good at knowing the down and distance. It's crazy.
Yeah. You know what frustrated me is we were running some sort of coverage where they were just getting check downs over the middle,
Yeah,
just like
Derrick
tight
Henry
end
had a
releases,
career high interception.
running back releases. And I felt like we had no answer for that. Maybe it's because we were so worried about helping out our corners and then also the play action. It just felt bad.
Yeah, I think Wagner was insane for the fact that he played 88 snaps and he was pretty much made every play in the fourth quarter and overtime, even if it was late, even if it was 8 yards downfield. I felt like every tackle, it was Bobby Wagner.
I can't help but think Bobby Wagner during that game was like,
Yeah,
you guys are going to make me do this all by myself, aren't you? You
Yeah,
guys are going to
he
make me do this
wasn't
all by
so
myself.
frustrated.
It was probably like, this is.
He probably
This-
was so mad at the offense too.
He probably
Like,
came in thinking like, oh, we're going to do good. Last year we were coming on, and he's like, oh, man, this is 2019 all over again. This is 2020 start all over again. I was like, I
that
feel you,
man
Bobby.
has so much muscles. He's 32. How are you gonna make him run so much? How
I
are
don't
you
even
gonna
know,
make him?
man. I don't even know.
I was shocked that he was even still out there, just making hand tackles. There was the play that he got beat by Julio Jones in coverage, and he still made the tackle, like falling down. Like, what a difficult matchup. The fact that he was there is impressive.
I mean,
So many things
imagine
about
like,
football are just
isn't it crazy? Like Bobby, like 5 years ago, is just that route isn't even open,
Yeah, that's true.
and he's
It
still
is true.
there, but he's like 32 at this point. So
I mean, Bobby Wagner 3 years ago was my defensive player of the year pick. If it wasn't for Aaron Donald, I mean, he was like
Yeah.
90 pick upgrade, and he was creating a turnover like every week, or at least a part of it. And the fact that he's still probably the best linebacker in the league, or at least top 3 on everybody's board is crazy. People who say
he's
not
a first ballot. He's a first ballot.
Yeah, and people who say that he's not is just because they just don't know. They just don't know how talented he is.
They just don't watch football. That's all it
They
is.
really don't. They look at the fact that Luke Kuechly's got a deep boy and they think, wow, Luke Kuechly is so much better than Bobby Wagner. Luke Kuechly is a great linebacker and probably first ballot Hall of Famer as well, but it's just frustrating.
I'll say this: it's just a bummer. Aaron Donald is probably one of the best players of all time in the same era. But okay, let's wrap up this recap. I'll ask you one more question, and then let's do a quick preview of the Seahawks Vikings game because I don't think we'll get to that later this week. And I do think it's kind of an exciting matchup. But let me ask you this: who do you put this loss on more? Offense, defense, coaching?
I think it's definitely the offensive line, to be specific.
Okay.
I think special teams also struggled, which was underrated. We had a pretty bad returning game, and Jason Myers missed the extra point that would have maybe won us the game. But
underrated right there. That missed extra point ended up being huge. Although I will say I don't think we stopped them on a 2-point conversion. I thought they were going to go for it.
I thought they were going for it too. I thought the game was over.
I 100% thought they should have gone for it, just the way they're moving the ball the entire game. But so I don't think it matters that much, really. But it is. I mean, he hasn't missed a kick in 39 field goals.
I also think, we didn't use our timeouts at the end of the game either, so could have gotten better there maybe. But
yeah,
it's frustrating. And my choice is definitely the offense. You can't have 22 minutes of possession. You just gotta hold the drive. You gotta hold the drive.
Yeah, I agree.
Opportunities, you gotta hold the drive.
I got to go offense here. They couldn't sustain drives. I put it mostly on Russ just because he's a leader there. He needs to be able to adapt to the O-line not playing well, to DK Metcalf not playing well. He needs to be able to adapt. He needs to force Shane's hand, and I just don't think he stepped up, although it's not only his fault. All right, so with that game wrapped up, Seahawks are now 1-1. Everyone else in the NFC West is 2-0. They all won their one-possession games last week, albeit the Vikings should have beat the Cardinals. So they missed on a chip shot, if you guys are not aware. So now we got to go play the Vikings, and everyone else is 2-0. We can't really drop a game just with the way the division is shaping up. Every game matters even more. So dropping a game in the NFC, luckily we have a loss in the AFC, but dropping a game in the NFC is going to be huge. I guarantee it. So we need this win. I believe right now the Seahawks are laying 1 point. So they're basically predicting about an even game. It is in Minnesota. What do you think? I think it's definitely going to be a lot of firepower. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, so what he's saying there is the spreads usually favor 3 points to the home team. So it's like a 4-point. Essentially, the Vegas is saying that we're 4 points better than the Vikings, but because it's not a neutral field. I think it's a similar matchup to the Titans. So it really is just the same kind of situation. You look at the run game, they're gonna pound the ball. If we allow 30 carries again, we're gonna lose to Dalvin Cook.
Well, I mean, the Vikings will run 30 carries even if we're winning.
That's true, and the Titans would do the same thing. But it's like it's frustrating. Kirk looks really good. He looks similar to Tannehill. I think Jefferson and Thielen are gonna get separation on our corners. If we run in zones, they're gonna find spots as well. So it's gonna rely on our offense. I'm not confident in our defense stopping the Vikings.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between the two teams, but I will say I think the Vikings defense is worse than the Titans, and I thought the Titans were going to be bad, but I think the Vikings are worse. I mean, they might not be. I could be wrong here.
They're better pass rush, I think, but much worse secondary.
Secondary is not good. Yeah, they're pass rush. I didn't think that. The thing is, I don't think the Titans pass rush is even that bad. Like, I don't think it's that bad.
Yeah, I don't know. Buddy Pre's pretty bad.
Harold Landry was a beast. Who's their interior guy? Jeffrey Simmons was destroying us.
He's pretty good.
We're getting destroyed inside.
I look at Daniel Hunter, and he looked pretty good against last week.
Yeah, that's really all they have. Everson Griffin's out. Michael Pierce.
Michael Pierce looks pretty good.
He's not a pass rusher.
I mean, he's not a pass rusher. He had a sack last week.
Yeah, they have a decent pass rush. I think their defense is like, let's say Titans are 6th. Vikings are like a 5.5.
I think it's a similar way. If we get them into a single high look, we're gonna be able to succeed, and that's completely dependent on our run game.
Yeah, I think we can run. I think we can run better just because I'm not as afraid of. I think Jeffrey Simmons is a stud inside for the Titans, and I think he blew everything up. I think we can run a little better on these guys. My big concern is Brian Monet being healthy.
I think a similar thought to that is my big concern is Brandon Shell being healthy.
That's true. I feel like our right tackle, like if Cedric Ogbuehi's out, that's not great. But Jamarco Jones, I don't know. You're right. It could be an issue, but also I think we could scheme against it, like we did for 5 weeks last week.
Yeah. Hopefully, Dwayne Eskridge is back this week.
Yeah, rumors are he'll be playing.
Questionable.
Rumors are. But to my point about Brian Monet, the Seahawks have tried out like 3 D tackles today, which is not bode well for his health.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. The Vikings are going to try to do the same thing they did against the Titans did to us. So we need that depth because we need to stop the run.
Yeah, I think it's a little worse of a matchup for the D tackles just because Dalvin Cook's a lot more of an outside runner rather than an inside runner like Derrick Henry. So you could see him, and I think the good thing is you'll see Darrell Taylor and Dunlap probably more successful because they're pretty fast guys on the edge, which will help them.
They're not running a power running scheme. They're running
more against Cook
outside zone.
An outside zone
space.
Yeah. Which is going to be better for Cooks. Not as good for Woods and Ford, but I think we're better matched up against a zone scheme without Monet if we don't have him.
I'm trying to think back to last year we played the Vikings. Honestly, that team is very similar to this team they have now.
And we should have lost that game.
Probably, but they were running all over us, to be honest. I think Madison had over 100, and Dalvin Cook hit over 100.
No, I think he had like 60, but.
Oh, dude, he was. I'd have to go look, but he was dominating before he got hurt.
He was dominating, but he got hurt. He got hurt last week, so could be an issue.
I'd love to just shut him up, shut him down. With the way we lost last week, I'd love to see some fight. I want to see Jamal Adams. I want to see Jamal Adams just make a huge play, like either a pick or just whack somebody, honestly. Just hit somebody really hard. So what are your expectations? How do you think we'll actually perform?
I think we'll perform. I'm confident in a victory. The concerning part is that I think either the Vikings could come out super hungry or they could just be defeated. And honestly, I think it's more likely that they would come out defeated because Zimmer's on the hot seat. You come back off the 2 losses against teams that you have to beat to make the playoffs. Like, they had to beat the Cardinals to make the playoffs, and they had to beat the Bengals because they're not going to get easy wins like that. Especially since I think the Lions are a little scrappy this year.
A little scrappy. I don't think they can compete with the Vikings, to be honest.
It's hard to tell what the Vikings are going to be after these 2 losses. It has huge mental implications. So I think you'll see the offense put up 30 points again. I don't know if it will be the same. Hopefully we can create more turnovers on defense.
Yeah.
That's something that we need to be better on. And I think one thing that we've been really good on, like you said, Russell's not throwing the interception, and it doesn't really look like he's going to throw the interception. I think he's afraid to do it, which is a positive and a negative.
Yeah.
And I think Carson probably is more aware of his fumbles, so I hope we keep the turnover streak alive. Another interesting tidbit about this game is it's our 4th straight year playing the Vikings. And it's our first time it's not on prime time. Which is just crazy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there were a bunch of Monday night, Thursday night games in there. Yeah.
I think it was 2 Monday nights in a row and then Sunday night last year. So.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
I think for me,
all games were really close.
Expectations are a victory. And what I want to see is I want to see offensive improvement in terms of seeing some new things. Not necessarily new things, but seeing what we saw more of in the first week. More lateral plays, more screens. I thought screens were super exciting to see because we did not run them any bit last year or the year before that, hardly. And we ran them a bunch the first game, and I think screens are so underrated. Against, when your O-line is struggling, that's what the Titans did to us, dude. When your O-line is struggling, run a screen.
As well.
Yeah, so get that going.
Maybe Waldron was thinking about health with Lewis and Fuller now being super mobile.
You're right.
Maybe he was thinking that they couldn't get him out in space that well. So that could be a factor, but hopefully they're better after this week. Jamarco Jones can definitely be okay as a mobile
I think he can
tackle.
be okay. I think he'll be good enough for us where I don't think we should be. I don't think we're going to be blaming Jamarco Jones for the loss. Is what I'm saying. If
Yeah,
we lose,
okay. I think Kyle Fuller's probably a worse offensive lineman still.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
What do you
So-
think? So who do you think has to show up to win next week?
I think it's gonna be. Talk about a boring answer, but I go with Russell Wilson.
I don't like I said in my last game. I think he's one of the main reasons we lost. I thought he missed throws. He missed
Hard to say
throws.
he's the main reason he lost.
He didn't like throw bad throws. I think he missed opportunities. Well, not the main reason, but I think definitely part of it. That last drive, he made the wrong decision. I thought 3 times in a row.
What I
Like the
think
very
is that,
last overtime drive, 3
yeah,
times in a row.
two really bad throws that never had a chance of succeeding with Metcalf and
Just a
Lockett.
bad decision. Like they weren't open at all.
But
He forced his hand, and then it was 3rd and 10.
it's tough because he didn't really have many options.
I don't know.
I
If we
think-
watch over that play, I think the check down was there.
To your
Pete Carroll
point-
even mentioned it. Pete Carroll mentioned it in his press conference yesterday. He said, "I wish Russell just took that check down on 1st down." It was there, 7 yards to Chris Carson.
I think he almost got that. Lockett almost got that catch, which is crazy, but
Questionable.
was
He's
still
like
a-
standing
still
out of
a-
bounds. The ball was like
Um,
thrown out of bounds.
I think we still should win those games because I think Russell played like an average quarterback. You could argue he was not bad by any stretch of the imagination. There's
No, he
way you
wasn't
can
bad.
argue-
He's not bad.
There's no way you can argue that he lost us the game, and it's just like if he's the average quarterback, we still should win that game because of how many opportunities we had in offense. And so I think, if
but the thing
Russell
is, like, the offense was not average in terms of anything but scoring, right? Like, they scored a bunch of points. 7 of it was given to them by the defense. So swipe those away. 23 points. Just like one of them on a busted coverage where like even Derek Carr's not Derek Carr, he's been playing good. Even who's not a good quarterback right now. Even Teddy Bridge. Okay, Teddy Bridge is pretty good. Even Trevor Lawrence is hitting Freddie Swain there. Like you just literally just throw it a little bit underneath. Every quarterback in the league is hitting that. So besides that, it was 16 points of actual production.
I thought
He's got to
both Lockett
overcome
throws-
the O-line playing not great.
I thought both Lockett throws are really good too. I mean,
Yeah,
they weren't-
obviously. I mean, he had some nice throws. I think it's just the other plays where there's opportunities shorter down the field. His deep throws are not the problem. You know what I mean?
Okay. Well, that's my answer. I think
Yeah.
Russell Wilson needs to step up. And on defense, Trey Flowers. Put in a mediocre performance against Justin Jefferson, I'll be happy.
I think a little aside here. So Sidney Jones joined our team the week before the first week. So like I think it was like Monday maybe, right? So he really has had no practice time. There's no expectation he was even going to play first week. Pete Carroll does run a kind of a unique system. But this is going to be his 3rd week. Is there a chance that Trey Flowers starts on the bench or they rotate series with Sidney Jones? Because I already know Justin Jefferson and Adam Thielen are going to make a play on him. Like I remember last year, oh God, it was ugly. Or actually, it was Shaquille Griffin that got kind of abused too. I remember that. That was bad.
Yeah. Adam Thielen had, what, 2 touchdowns against us?
Yeah, he had that one on Shaquille Griffin where he absolutely just broke his ankles.
It's or Adam Thielen is so underrated.
But yeah, anyway, I think obviously, like I said, those guys are both pretty elite. He's gonna have a bad play, probably more than one. Do we think we see Sidney Jones?
It's hard to say. I think we probably stick with Flowers. It's just so early.
What's the point though? Like, just depth.
It's been like that. The Seahawks have been. What's the point for how many times are they corner? Like
Yeah,
we
but
started with
who did they
Flowers
have behind Trey? When they had DJ Reed, he started over him. Trey was on the bench.
And then no, but I look at Shaquille that 1 year, like Sidney Jones is not that great of a corner. I mean, he's just athletic.
But he had a good year
He's
last
bad at
year.
coverage.
His peak, even like his average, I'd say, is higher than Trey Flowers' average by decent margin.
Well, it's the same thing with what you said. Trey Flowers is an average cornerback when he's playing against average receivers.
These aren't average receivers. That's my point. Like, I think
Yeah.
he's gonna get abused, and then do we see Sydney, or
I don't-
are we just gonna stick it out?
I think they stick it out.
So do you think Sydney's just permanently on the bench? Because my opinion is that he came in late, so obviously he wasn't gonna play early on. But
I think Trey Flowers is due for an injury. To be honest with you, who's that other guy we traded for too?
I mean, he's not good. He's Justin Reed, I want to say, or
No,
something like that.
It's like I'm looking at the cornerback depth chart right now. But
Yeah.
what do you think about your players to step up?
That needs to step up. You know, we didn't talk about this, and I really think we should talk about it real quick before I say my player. Is that Benson Mayowa is our starting Sam linebacker. He played 57 snaps last game in base defense, and I'm really just not impressed with him. I think, obviously, Darrell Taylor played bad, so maybe Darrell Taylor's not the option. Maybe Benson Mayowa is the only option. But I'd rather see Darrell Taylor and Alden Robinson getting more of these snaps and having Benson Mayowa and Dunlap rotate in. But, you know, that's a whole other story. I think
So
those guys need to learn, but maybe they're just really not ready for the full game. Player that needs to step up, it's got to be Russ, but I think it's got to be the O-line. You're right.
Yeah.
And not pass blocking. I don't think they're bad. I don't think they were that bad in pass blocking, but their run blocking, they need to get some push.
I don't think they were that good in run blocking week 1 too. I thought Chris Carson got a lot of yards.
But there's some more holes.
There was
That's
some
about
more
it.
holes. I agree.
He couldn't run anywhere.
I think Chris Carson
Or 2
still
days ago.
did a lot better than is expected when it came to running. But this week was just horrifically bad.
Yeah, no disagreements there.
The guy I was thinking of was Bless Austin.
You're right.
Yeah.
See, that's another guy we acquired literally this. I think we acquired him after week 1, right? Or
It was very recent into the. It was either I think it was before week 1, but yeah,
Okay, it was like Friday or something of week
Yeah.
1. So I mean, these guys, they need time in the system, but I think their time is coming, and I think Trey Flowers. Listen to this. He's got the Vikings this week, who's Jefferson and Thielen. He's got the Niners next week, who receiving threats aren't as good, but Deebo Samuel's been playing pretty lights out. Ayuk kind of abused Trey Flowers last year. And they also have George Kittle, and I think there's room for him to get exposed again. Then we go to the Rams. Cooper Kupp will
He's the best
dominate
shooter in
him.
the league right now.
Robert Woods is better than him. So there's really, and after that, I think we play the Packers. Is it the Packers?
No, it's the Steelers.
Oh, the Steelers. Okay, so it's not looking great. Like, I just think we're gonna see too many instances of him getting beat. That it's not only like the fans distaste the front office. They're gonna be like, dude, this guy. Why did we just trade for 2 guys? John Snyder's gonna be like, why did we just trade for Bless on Austin, or why did we sign Bless on Austin? Why did we trade for Sidney Jones and this other guy from the Texans? If we're gonna keep playing Trey Flowers and he's gonna keep getting exposed. Now, I would love to see Trey Flowers step up and not get exposed and not give up a bunch of yards during these next 5 weeks where we have to play the Packers, Steelers, Rams, Niners, Vikings. But I think it's gonna happen. So I wonder if we're gonna see a change.
Fun little tidbit talking about our schedule in the future. I just realized something super unfortunate. We play the Saints after their bye week on Monday night
Really?
with the return of Michael Thomas. So
Oh yeah, we do play with Michael Thomas back.
that's super frustrating.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the Saints after last week,
The cornerback matchups, though, I mean, I still think Michael Thomas is a top 5 receiver in the league.
but they do have a bunch of injuries right now. So they're down Lattimore, Chauncey Gardner-Johnson.
It's a couple weeks from now too, so not
But
something.
I think they'll be healthy. I think they'll be healthy by the time they play us, which is not
Yeah,
fun.
it's frustrating.
And we have a tough slate. No one's
Yeah,
talking
it's
about it,
super
but
tough.
Niners,
And
Rams.
it sucks that this Titans game is one we could have won. That it's gonna get away.
Niners, Rams,
The
Steelers,
Vikings are not
Packers.
easy. Too.
Dude, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal.
We could be playing, and by the end of the year, we could look at it and say we played 7 playoff teams in the first 7 weeks.
And so here's what I'll say. I think we need to go 3-1 the next 4 games to make okay. Maybe not to make the playoffs, but to feel
win the
good.
division.
To win the division, we need to go at least 3-1.
Yeah, at least. And the division games we probably have to win.
Yeah, I'll say if anything, I could see us dropping one of those games. One of those 2 games. I think the Steelers and the Vikings are easier matchups. But I don't think we can lose 2 of those games. 100% we can.
I mean, it's just hard to imagine the Cardinals lose this week. They have a pretty easy schedule coming up. They got the Jags this week, and then look at the Niners matchup. Well, they also the Rams are playing the Bucks, obviously, which is exciting.
Yeah,
for
I mean,
us.
short term, I'm just saying for the Seahawks, like
Yeah. Just looking at the schedules around the league, though.
3-1 is key in the next 4 games. It's gonna be tough. Like, I want us to win every game. I doubt we're gonna win every game the next 4 games. That'd be awesome. I think if we win the next 4 games, we should be in the conversation for top 3, top 2.
You could. I mean, if we win the next 4 games, there's no reason we can't win out. Because our schedule.
Well, I
is
just
way
don't think
easier
we're. I
than
just
two.
don't think. I just think it's so
Week
hard in the
7.
NFL to win out, to show up every week and avoid injury.
Yeah. You just gotta hope that we start off next week well, because it's our most winnable matchup for sure.
Yeah, it's not a must win just because 17 weeks, only week 3, but it feels like in our division, it's a must win.
No, I agree.
All right, score prediction, drop it, then we'll dip out.
It's hard to imagine this game is low scoring, so I'm gonna go with 38-28
Wow.
Seahawks.
Absolutely no defense.
I
I think 38-28 implies there's a defensive touchdown, so I'm going to go.
don't know if it does.
I think with just time running the ball, both teams are going to run. I'll go 31-24 Seahawks. Vikings have a drive to go and win the game, tie the game, and we stop them similar
Fourth
to
down
last
conversion.
year.
Yeah, no, that's potential.
Well, I guess the previous year we were
Opposite.
the one who came back. Yeah. I think the Vikings have a drive to go and tie the game, and we stop them.
Could be.
I think we get one
that's
fumble. I think we get one fumble, 1 pick.
Actually,
Actually-
that's a good prediction too.
Actually, if we get one fumble, 1 pick, I don't think it's that close. But
Who knows? We kind of just go on streaks where we go 3 and outs.
you're right. All right.
And we could allow 450 yards and get a fumble and a pick. We're just that kind of team. I mean, I think just a little bit of the yards comparison this week was also ridiculous. 532 total yards for the Titans and only 397 for the Seahawks. So that's with the
Yeah.
fumble.
It was bad. It was bad.
Hopefully,
All right, but-
hopefully next week at this time we'll be a lot more happy.
Hey, I expect. Yeah, this is gonna be a great show next week. We're gonna be jazzed up. It's gonna be kind of boring because, it's gonna be just domination, right?
Hopefully,
We're gonna be talking about Sidney Jones' breakout performance and how excited we are for our new cornerback room.
yeah, I don't know about that, but I love to
We're
see
gonna be
it.
talking about Dwayne Eskridge's breakout game: 6 catches, 106 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 deep bomb,
Still
1
Rondell
fast sweep.
Moore, offensive rookie of the year candidate.
Well-
My number one choice for the Seahawks, but instead we ended up with the Eskridge.
Trey Brown's coming off IR soon. Pray to God he's better than Trey Flowers.
Colby Parkinson, maybe we'll come back soon.
Haven't heard anything about that guy
Right
yet.
now.
Hopefully.
So sounds good for the pod, huh?
That's all good. All right. Hey, tune in this Thursday. We got the
long one
responsible bet. Tune in this Thursday. We got the responsible bet. We're going to be doing week 3 betting for the NFL, for college football. This past week was a little rough, but I promise you we got some good ones lined up. Tune in next week. We're going to be doing our NFL recap next Monday, and we're going to be doing the Seahawks recap probably Monday or Tuesday. And hopefully everything's good. Hopefully we make all our bets. Hopefully everything wins. Hey, also don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. Anything else?
No, all good for me.
All right.